this video, we'll take a look at the Solar Shadows Study tool inside of Ecosim Building Designer. Use a tool called Populate in the visualization workflow to place some landscaping items, some trees around our building, to also add to the Solar Shadows study. So I'll go up to the ribbon interface, go to visualization workflow. In previous videos, we looked at doing the solar path tool, where we get this overlay in our view. We looked at the solar exposure calculator. This time we're going to look at the solar study. Now, for this tool, for these solar studies, I will leave the overall site file. We've turned that reference off. We've turned that reference off in earlier videos, so we were just working with the site right around the building here, that circular site that we have there. Now, one thing I've noticed with this overall site file is it has some different colors in it. If I go open that file, so one way we can open a reference file, for one thing, I'm going to go to References up here, make sure my Locate is turned on. We've looked at how we can turn the display off and on of your references, but this is Locate, which means my element selection tool can locate components inside that reference file. So the locate needs to be on to do what I'm about to do. I'm going to right press to open that right press menu and just say exchange. Exchange means close the file I'm in and open that reference file. And it keeps the same orientation of our views. Notice the colors are different over here. So why is that? Well, I notice that this file is using a different color table. If you come up here to the attributes and click on the color attribute, here's the color table that this file is being used. And in my experience, this is a really different one than I normally see, which is okay. This is by the civil team. So different DGN files can have their own color table. So how can we have our model, the building one, use these same colors? Well, we can go up to the File tab up here and go to Settings, select the user settings, and go to Preferences. And in these categories, you'll see this reference category. Notice the very top one is this called, says Use Color Table. And it says down here, Use Reference Color Tables. I'll say OK right there. Now, in order for that to take effect, I need to exit out and reopen Building Designer. So I'll come to the File tab and say Exit, to completely exit out of the program. It needs to reread that user setting that I just made. I'll just start it right back up again. Remember, after you've started Ecosim Building Designer, when you open it, it will come to the work page here. And I want to get back into the working model.dgn file. And now I'll see that the colors are different because it's using its own color table, not the color table that's in my file. In fact, if we come to the color here, you'll see how it has a different color table. Now, this is the default color table. It's the one I'm kind of used to seeing and using in my models. I'm going to zoom out in view 1 and view 2. I'm going to zoom out some. And we saw in the last video that this display style, I need to come down here and just choose one. Then the next time I open it up, I'll see some different ones. So if you want to use illustration with shadows, or even though we change that color setting, you may want to use this one called monochrome with shadows, which really takes all the color out of it. Now, I've noticed another thing in this file is this planter area here in that site model. It's not really helping my shadow display. So I'm coming to my level display. You can always get to it up here in the ribbon interface. Mine's docked over on the right here. I'm going to select Smart Site. And I know that I've investigated this. That level is, that object is on this level called Planter. So I'm just going to say, apply that to all the views. And, maybe I'll go in here and say illustration with shadows. So you can kind of see. I've got one with monochrome, one with illustration. Now, we'll come to the Utilities tab over here. Go to Solar Study. In the Solar Study settings, notice I can select the view. I'll do view 2 first Then I'll do view 1. I've set my resolution X here. I was typing in 800. It's going to, again, utilize the ratio of the height and width of the view to calculate those numbers. I'm doing the whole day here. So, well, half the day, 12 hours. And I'm starting at 6 a.m. on March the 20th, 2018. Again, spring equinox. You might want to do the solstices and the equinox dates, or whatever dates you really want to do. Solar shadows is turned on. All these other settings are fine. I'll hit save right here. Now, I've done a few preparation in this video. You can do an FLI, which is a QuickTime video, or an AVI, which runs in Windows Video Player. You can see, you can just put it out, right out to images. So the different formats that we can do. Again, I'm going to do a Windows AVI. Now, I've done a couple of them, so I'm going to overwrite. Let's say I'll overwrite this one here, but I'm also going to put top, so I know that this is the one for March the 20th, top orientation, and I'll say OK here. Now, you want to put the number of frames to be one more, at least, than the hours that you put on there. So in mine, I had the number of frames set to 13 as I'm doing 12 hours. Let's go ahead and do another one while I'm here. This time I'll do view 1, which is in this isometric orientation. And I'll just do the same day. Everything else will be the same. I'll say save, and instead of saying top, I'll say ISO here. For isometric view, and say OK. I'm going to go ahead and overwrite that one. I had done it previously. Now, don't forget, we can get to our folders. Quick way is just to go to the File tab, right-click on any of these files, open folder in File Explorer. I'll click the Work Set folder and go to the Output folder. So here are the ones I've done. Let me organize it by date. You can see here the date I have been working on. So let's look at the top one, ABI. So there it is. It shows you, I'll just put this to repeat, the shadows for that particular day. And let's look at the ISO one. So you can rotate the building. We looked in other videos about changing the orientation of the building. So you might want to run these, and you can use this for study or to include in maybe reports. So once you've done some solar shadow study, we can also add some landscaping. So to do that, it's good to work in the top view, I've noticed, to utilize this tool. In this utilities group right here, we have this populate button in our visualization workflow in the ribbon interface up here. So if I choose that populate, in this work set, it's set up to include some cells that are plants. So we've got these Lumen RT plants and these X-Frog plants. So X-Frog is just the name of a provider of things like cells that we can utilize in Building Designer. Lumen RT is a Bentley product for creating videos and photorealistic renderings. And so, again, this is provided with this work set. So if I choose Lumen RT plants, you can always hit this Browse for Contents button, and then you'll see the list over here. So don't forget that this site is in North Carolina in the United States. So probably want to research what type of plants are indigenous. And not that we need to use indigenous. Now, there's one that got put out there. Let me just delete that one. So let's go populate Lumen RT plants. And instead of random, I'll come in there and select about a Douglas fir pine. And then notice the prompt says enter data point to place item on surface. So if I just come out here and click in this site right around the building here, it should place my trees right on that site. So a pretty good sized tree there. Maybe I'll place another one of these over here. You could rotate them. How about a larch pine? Let's try one of those. Put that one right there. That's a little bit smaller one. So maybe I'll delete that. This one I put over here. And put a larch pine in there. And then maybe I'll put a couple of Japanese maple trees. Those are great kind of undergrowth trees. Very nice in your landscape. There they are right there. So maybe I'll put one by these other trees. And just to have some more landscaping over here. And again, you know, if I want to rotate those, I can right press, say by active angle. Maybe I'll rotate this one 90 degrees. Oh, it made a copy. It says I had to make a copy switched on there. So I'll just delete this original one. There we go. So we can kind of see what's going on if I change this to illustration with shadows over here. You can see what those look like. And then, again, we can do the solar study. Now, I didn't do a save settings. I turned that level off, so let me get over here. Turn that planner level off. Don't really need that one. And let's do that in all the views. There's view 1, view 2. Then I'll run that solar shadows study again. And I'll do view 1 this time. Keep all my settings the same. This time I'm going ISO with trees. So I'll put trees in there. Say OK. I've got that folder open in my Windows Explorer here. So you can see how some landscaping can add shading onto your building. So again, something you might want to include in a report or just to assist you in getting the optimum orientation of your building, including adding some landscaping.